All right, so the New York Islanders have been eliminated by the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Final. We'll be taking a look at that as an Islander fan. I'll try not to, get too upset, but we'll take a look at that in this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. And let's take a look at the New York Islanders. So that was a tough way to end the 2020 bubble season for the New York Islanders. The Islanders, who for the first time in over 20 years, finally get back to the Eastern Conference Final, and they put up more of a fight than the way this series started I expected. And the reason for that is get blown out in game one, 8-2. You lose you lose a couple games, and you just feel like the momentum completely left the Islanders pretty early in this series. And the Islanders were able to claw back. They were able to get this to 6 games. Everybody was doubting the Islanders. The Islanders would go 10 or 15 minutes throughout this series without getting a shot, but still find a way to somehow win. And that is exactly what Barry Trotz has with this New York Islanders team. Even when things don't look right, even when they could be getting frustrated, they avoid it and they're able to fight through it. I mean, let's just look at games 5 and 6. The Islanders are backs against the wall, final minutes of regulation or the end of the game, and they take two double minor penalties. One at the end of game 5 from Anthony Beauvillier and one in game 6 from Andy Green. The Islanders were able to kill the power plays for both of those against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I mean that's right there. You know how many teams would give up that goal or just not be able to, the mental fortitude it takes to do that. The Islanders were able to do that against, I would argue, the best roster team in the NHL. Just looking at that roster, it's unbelievable how good the Tampa Bay Lightning are from bottom to the top of the lineup. And that was a tough series for the Islanders. And the fact they were down 3-1, they come back, they win a game, make it interesting in game 6. It's definitely a sign of better things to come for the Islanders. There's definitely some issues, though, for the Islanders, and we'll be taking a look at that here. The big thing that the Islanders need to address this offseason, that is they have to fix this scoring issue because they do not score enough goals. Jordan Eberle, as much as I love him, I kind of hate him after this playoffs because he was just so infuriatingly inconsistent. His missing the net, shooting it over the net. And I love Jordan Eberle, but this year's playoffs was definitely a disappointment for Jordan Eberle. Yes, he won game 5 for the Islanders, bringing a game 6. And he played decent in the Florida Panthers series. He played decent in last year's series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That was over a year ago now. So there's definitely some things that were just seemed off with Jordan Eberle. I don't know if it's injuries or stuff going on outside of hockey. I don't know. But Jordan Eberle, a couple of bad miscues on passes and just little things and that I noticed with Eberle that were really an issue. And that's why they paid Jordan Eberle $6 million to score goals, and his lack of scoring goals throughout this series was an issue. You've got guys like Josh Bailey who need to score more. That was another guy that was kind of infuriating at points. Brock Nelson, as much as he looked pretty solid, he had his issues too. And even Matt Barzal, who seemed like he was just trying to do too much, and he was trying to take the puck in by himself every time and getting it taken away from him. He definitely didn't have his best game in game 6, and I think that was an issue for him. I think he's a little frustrated by that. He knows that wasn't his best effort, and that unfortunately is a reason the Islanders are out of the playoffs right now. The goaltending, though, looks solid now. There's going to be an interesting shakeup here because Thomas Greiss is an unrestricted free agent this offseason, and the Islanders are expected to bring in KHL goaltender from Russia, Ilya Sorokin. So you're expecting to see the two goaltenders from Russia in between the pipes for the New York Islanders next season. We will see Semyon Varlamov come back to the New York Islanders, as well as this Ilya Sorokin kid who looks pretty solid. The Islanders drafted him many eons ago, it seems like, so he will finally get to suit up for the orange and blue, and we'll see how things go with Sorokin. And now Varlamov has proven he can put on a pretty good playoff run We'll see if he could do that again next season, but he's going to have some competition now with the young guy in Sorokin coming into town. So defense, I think, is another thing that the Islanders, it's hard because they all play the system the right way, but the skill level is definitely not there. And I'm looking at guys like Scott Mayfield, guys like Adam Pelech, even at points in this series, a guy like Devin Tays, as offensively gifted as he can be, he definitely had some issues and some growing pains this year, specifically in the playoffs, and that's something that has to get fixed. Yes, he did catch a couple bad breaks with the delay of games in Game 6 specifically in this series, but at the end of the day, the Islanders they need a little bit more of more reputable, more skilled guys everywhere, and I think that's something that I think people say, oh, well, the Islanders aren't that good because you look at the roster. But, going to the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final, that's not too bad. That's a pretty nice feather in your cap. So, for the Islanders' sake, it's frustrating to see them lose. Disappointed. But at the end of the day, if any of you Islander fans out there are upset today or couldn't fall asleep last night, you got to be crazy. Sleep good tonight. You know what? The Islanders made it to the conference final. They haven't done that in over 20 years, the furthest they've ever gone in my lifetime. So, you know what? Let's just enjoy the moment. We'll see what happens this offseason. We're bringing in a nice, hopefully, I hate saying goalie of the future, and a guy like Ilya Sorokin. Hopefully he turns out to be a solid pickup. We still have young guys like Noah Dobson, who hopefully will get more playing time next season. Maybe an Oliver Wahlstrom. Maybe we see the development of Michael Dal-Colle into that, that Tom Wilson-esque player, because there were certain points in this year's playoffs where I really liked what Michael Dal-Colle did for the Islanders. I don't know how sold Barry Trotz is on him, but he could develop him into a Tom Wilson player, a big player. He has a good shot. He just has to develop his offensive abilities a little more. He's a great back checker. He wins puck battles. So the Islanders, Michael Dal-Colle, yes, he may be a 5th overall bust in terms of being that superstar talent, but he could still be a very reliable player down the road for the New York Islanders. So let me know in the comment section down below, Islander fans. What do you think of the Islanders? What do they have to do this offseason? And I think we all have a pretty good reason to hang our heads high as Islander fans this year, because we're officially the more relevant New York sports team right now. And people may argue that, but let's be honest, they definitely are. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of that. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Make sure to check out our Patreon at Goal Line Hockey, as well as our Instagram and Twitter at goalline_hockey. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.